Just some quick thoughts I feel like I have to say when it comes to the Aptera Solar charged electric car. There's been some change in thinking on some people's part, some change of excitement level on some people's part, and let's just talk about it and why I still think, it's a very exciting vehicle. The price now, if you go to the Aptera website and you try to order a launch edition, pre-order a launch edition, then you'll see it's $40,000. When we first started talking about the Aptera, we'd hoped the base price would be, I think it was 26 and change, something like that, 25.9 maybe. And that in the future may be true, I don't know. But the launch edition, of course, is not a base model. It's got full solar, for example, and it's got the 42 kilowatt battery, so you'll get 400 miles of range on a single charge with a full solar. If you live in a sunny climate, you might get 40 miles. We don't know that for sure yet. A day of free miles. Here in Michigan, I'm expecting maybe 16 miles of free power from the solar. Maybe, maybe more, maybe less. It'd be seasonal a little bit, I suppose, or a lot, I suppose, as I'm looking at a completely gray sky today in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But here's the point I want to make, and I hope this finds a good place in your ears and mind. And if you disagree, which some of you do, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. A robust conversation is a two-way conversation. This is a monologue. I much prefer a dialogue. And if I'm not looking at the camera, don't be offended. I'm looking at the road. I'm getting a lot of comments now that Tesla has confirmed again in their earnings call that they're going to make a less expensive car. The price of some cars have gone down. There's great deals to be had on Model Ys ahead of the refresh. If you buy one of the non-refresh ones, and Model 3s, you can get at a good deal sometimes. I just saw the 2025 Mach-E. They're hoping to launch somewhere around $36,900, something like that, with a couple $1,000 fee to get it to you, which I think is nonsense. Should be built into the price with the destination charge of almost $2,000. It's like that way they can publicize $36,900 and really sell it to you for $40,000. I find it offensive, but maybe that's just because I'm cheap and broke most of the time. But people are starting to say to me in emails, calls, texts, even someone in my family recently, like, wait a minute, I could buy a Mustang Mach-E for 40 grand or an Aptera for 40 grand. The Mach-E has 4 doors. The Mach-E is a Mach-E. It's just an amazing vehicle. It's a Mustang badgie. I mean, it's hard to argue that it's a great car, and I wouldn't argue against it. Others, including myself, have noticed that the Chevy Equinox is a fantastic EV, but it's probably get one somewhere around the price of an Aptera, a launch edition. So here's the point I want to make. Bear with me. When GM got into the EV business, I said at that time that I think that they would eventually be the winner of the game. And the reason, I think that for a lot of reasons. But one, the slow, methodical approach, which irritated me as a consumer, but impressed me as a General Motors fan. The Chevy Bolt, when it hit the scene, after a few years, was quite obvious that they can make a good electric vehicle. And yes, I know the battery issues they had with the LG batteries, but think about that multi-billion-dollar recall. GM got LG to pay for that. Just more evidence to me that GM is on the ball. So this is spoken with nothing but positivity toward General Motors and Mary Barra. In fact, any other car company I mentioned during this ramble, I have respect for, or I probably wouldn't mention them. So, but when GM set out to make the Bolt and the Blazer and the Hummer and the, the Sierra and the Silverado, these fantastic electric vehicles, they're just better versions of the original product. Like if you look at a Chevy Blazer EV, it's miles better than a Chevy Blazer gas, but it's still a Chevy Blazer with a different powertrain. Same thing with the Equinox, same thing with the Hummer, same thing with the Silverado, the Sierra, all of that. The work truck, the Bright Job, it's just a better version of their old work truck. It's great, no problem with it. And if you want a really good EV, why not buy one of those? Or why not buy a Mustang or a car with a big T on the front of it? Whatever you want to buy is fantastic. But when you say, I would rather, that's a better deal than the Aptera, that's where I get lost. Because you're trying to compare two things that are incomparable. The question is, would you buy an Aptera? Would you buy a car that, unlike any of those other cars mentioned, charges itself? Would you buy a car that does that? That doesn't take from the grid. In fact, in the future may actually put back to grid with vehicle to load or vehicle to grid technology. Would you, I mean, isn't that just a different decision altogether? It's not what car do I need for my family, because if you need a family car with 4 doors, Aptera is not going to be your main car. But would you buy an Aptera if it fit your lifestyle? That's the only question anybody is asking. If you're a person that drives around by yourself, or if you're a delivery driver, or you're a technology driver, or you're delivering flowers, whatever you're doing, if you can do it in Aptera, you're going to do it for free in a lot of cases. And even if it's not free, you're still going to get 400 miles of range. So the comparing an inexpensive car with a T on it, an inexpensive Chevy Equinox or a Mustang Mach-E or a Polestar or whatever, to the Aptera just doesn't make sense to me. And I keep hearing about it, and I would just want to say to you, if that's you, if you're thinking, wait a minute, why would I ever buy an Aptera when I can buy, I'd say go buy the Mach-E if that's what's best for your family, of course. But to assume that there's no market share for Aptera is ludicrous. There's absolutely market share for this car. I think at $40,000, it might be limited to 10, 12, maybe 20,000 units at that price. And then they're going to have to find a way to meet us in the middle, you know, the rest of us. I mean, I'll pay 40 if I have it, of course, at the time. We'll see how life, I got a couple big sales in the works. We'll see how things work out. But until then, I'm going to drive the BMW i3. I'm going to drive the Nissan Leaf. And then when I can buy the Aptera, I'm going to buy the Aptera. In the meantime, if I want to buy a Mustang Mach-E and I can, I might do that as well. But the Aptera is a life-changing, transportation-changing vehicle. I think of Apteras in Africa, in Australia, and of course California, Arizona, New Mexico, where they get 300 days of sun, being just a complete life changer for people. When I was in California, not last time, but the time before, around San Francisco, and I saw these people living in their cars, these homeless people. Of course, I said to my wife, Sarah, I said, I'd rather be homeless in California than, you know, what we're doing these days. But that's not where we're at in life. But if you were a homeless, unhoused person, and you had an Aptera, you're no longer unhoused. You can sleep in the back. You've got 25 cubic feet or so of space to store the things you have to have. And when you're in the ocean in the morning, taking your morning swim, your car is charging, and you don't have to put gas in it. You may get back on your feet because you had an Aptera. So to see someday where the Apteras are more affordable for more people is what I would love to see. And I think we can get there. But what we're not going to get is where a family of 5 picks an Aptera over a Mach-E or a Model Y or a Blazer. That just doesn't make sense. If you're a one-car family, your car's got to meet your family. That's an easy equation. But if you're a one-person driver, two-person driver, and you're deciding between an Aptera and anything else, ask yourself, what is it you want? If you want to change everything about transportation and how people think about efficiency and how people think about transportation, if you want to buy a car that you can fix yourself when there's an issue because you've got the right to repair, you're not going to void your warranty. If you want a car that you never have to charge, potentially, depending on where you live in your driving situation, then the Aptera right now is your only choice. All right, I hope that didn't irritate anybody too much. I'm sorry if it sounded a little ranty. I don't feel ranty. I feel fine. This has been bugging me for about 6 days. And I couldn't think of a clever way to get this out there. So I thought, well, most people that watch this channel are pretty tolerant of me. So sorry if this was irritating. There's other videos on this channel, as you already know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, if you want to. Thumbs up are nice. I don't know what they actually do, but people always ask for them. And that's it for me. Here's another video. Getting into where I'm going to be in traffic after I make this left turn, so there's no more talking on camera for me anymore today. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the members that keep the wheels churning. Thank you to Bob Newchow for the coffee. It's much appreciated, Bob. We really appreciate you. And have a great day.